Hi, I'm Mark Viduka. Welcome to Soccer.
Here comes a dangerous looking cross and the goal! The goal for Argentina! Zelic, the header by Wayne! Yes, Australia 1-0! The header. Farina! Savinsky has certainly got the legs of Kupacek and the shots are 2-0! Disappears or does it? It's on for Galetta! Oh, that is such goal! Deep ball, this is a good one. Zelic, the goal! Farina! From here, Alistair Edwards, yes that's it! Watch your goal here, Waratifi curls it! Oh, that's a brilliant goal from Francis Waratifi!
When I was 5, my dad took me to training at Melbourne, Croatia, and it was under 9s. And you know, what actually happened was like I was running with the ball, and I had the ball, and some guy took it off me, and my dad reckons that I started crying on the middle of the field, and I still don't reckon it's true, but that's what he reckons. And anyway, he took me there, and I was a bit too young, he reckons. So the next year I came back again, and that's when I started playing soccer. I just love soccer, It's been bred into me, I think, because my father used to play, not professionally or anything, but he used to play, for the local teams and that. But I just love it, I just kept playing with Melbourne, Croatia, and when I was under 12s, I was selected for the Victorian state team. And we had a tour of Japan. We played a tournament in Japan, and that's when probably I started thinking, something could happen with soccer. I was selected for the under-13s in the same year, and then the year after that I was selected for the under-13s Victorian team again, because I played an age group up the year before. And the year after that I missed out because I went for a holiday back to Croatia. In the under-15s, I represented Victoria in Adelaide, and that's where I sort of got, a bit of a break with Ron Smith. He picked me for his development squad in the Australian Institute of Sport. My Victoria coach, Jeff Olver, rang me up and he said, I could be Ron Smith might be interested in having me on a scholarship, and I thought, if it does happen, good. If it doesn't, what can I do? It improved my soccer in every way, because the AIS is the best everything for sport in this country. For soccer, it's number one. It's got the best facilities, the grounds, the coaching, everything's the best. I lived at the AIS for 2 years, and I was getting calls from clubs wanting my services, because I was top goal scorer in the National Youth League and Player of the Year in the National Youth League in 1993. So I had some interest from other clubs like Marconi and obviously Melbourne, Croatia. But I signed a contract with Melbourne, Croatia while I was still on it was like an associate sort of a contract. And I was registered with the AIS and Melbourne, Croatia, and I came back and they flew me back every weekend, and I played the last 4 games of the season because I was in trouble. I left the AIS and then I came to Melbourne and I started pre-season with the Melbourne Knights. I can wake up whenever I want in the mornings, and I can do what I want during the day, but when it comes to trainings, I train about 5-6 times a week. At the Melbourne Knights, plus I have to be ready for any international duty that comes along. Playing for my club is different to playing for my country. The ways that it's the same is that you do your job no matter where it is, and when you go into a game, all you do is you concentrate on your own game and your own job at hand. And that's the way it's the same. My dad, I think, is very proud of me. I mean, I think if your son plays for Australia, for your country, I mean, it's like probably every parent's dream. A lot of people have said a lot of good things about my soccer and that, and I have my sisters to sort of keep me down to level, keep my feet on the ground, and you know, if I sort of, I don't know, sometimes if I say one thing, you know, if I praise myself, say, you know, I score a nice goal, they sort of, you know, bring me down to earth and that. So I think they've helped me a lot.
Celebrating the new colours of Cathay Pacific, the airline that is the heart of Asia.
Giving it away, Bingley with a header, Maloney, deflection! Stands down for City, could have been the goal, handball! He buries it!
The ball and fired it past Dean Anastasiadis for a terrific goal.
Dangerous cross, here's Jean-Paul on his left foot, and it's 1-1! They're back. A beautifully conceived goal.
And then hasty clearance, Olympic had 4 men surrounding Corica. Corica got away from Soros. Corica, the return, this is top move. Teodoros! 2-0, Marconi Fairfield.
So if you want to know how to do that, watch this.
The technique of striking the ball is one that all players develop, similarly to heading. And it's one of those that you use near goal to actually try and score goals. With the older players, the problem isn't so much a technique one, as much as actually taking the opportunity, getting yourself in position to actually have a chance to score goals. And then when it does come along, having a high degree of accuracy in order to get a good return from the number of chances that you get in a game. So a good striker, if he converted, say, 50% of the chances that he gets, you'd say he's doing well.
I think the main thing is to be confident in yourself. If you listen to what other people say, if they tell you to pass it or something, it doesn't matter. I mean, as I said, the main thing is to be confident in yourself, to know that how you're going to strike the ball, and you have to time it properly, and there's a lot of things involved, but I think the main thing is to be confident. The best technique is to sort of put your head down so that the ball doesn't travel over the bar. You have to try to keep the ball as low as you can and just have a crack. That's all it is.
Well, you don't really get time to actually think about what you're going to do in front of goal very often. It's as you're approaching it and as the ball's coming to you, good strikers are already thinking, well, this one's going to go in the far post, or I'm going to chip this one over. They'll have had a little look to see where things are before the ball has to be played. You can't always do that because there's a time factor involved in, you know, how far away you are from the ball, for example. And that's when players usually have, you know, more than one touch. But the vast majority of goals at top level are scored by players who only have one touch.
Popovic, deep ball, this is a good one. Drilic, the goal, and a beauty at that. A superb ball across. Drilic came flying through and picked his spot. No chance for Gibson. And the chance disappears, or does it? It's on for Galetta! Oh, that is some goal! Chase on for Pondolyak. Pondolyak, well, he's certainly got the legs on Kuprashak, and the shot's a perfect one! 2-0!
There's
Well, I'm Ron Smith. I'm head coach of soccer at the Australian Institute of Sport. My job is basically to identify and select young players that we believe have the ability to represent Australia in the Youth World Cup 2 or 3 years down the track. I first saw Mark Viduka playing for Victoria in the Under-15 Championships in Adelaide several years ago now. And Mark was a big, strong lad, and he scored a lot of goals and he showed good technique. And he continued to develop at the Institute of Sport. He was here as a scholarship holder for 2 years, and in that time, not only did he develop more physically, but he also had a chance to hone his skills, which he did, and became quite a prolific goal scorer. In his last season here, he scored 37 goals in the National Youth League, and was also voted as the National Youth League Player of the Year. And it gives people like myself and others associated with Mark here, and that includes quite a lot of people, it gives us a great sense of satisfaction to see the sort of like way he's gone into senior soccer in his first season of playing with the Melbourne Knights, where he also finished up not only as the leading goal scorer but the Players' Player of the Year. And you know, that's a big buzz for people like myself, and it shows that Mark's got a big future in the game. And to cap off his season, not only has he sort of like been named as the captain of the national youth team, but he's also made his international debut for the Socceroos against South Africa, and I'm sure that he'll do his best to lead the national youth team in the Oceania qualifiers. Well, I think in the next World Cup, the first thing is that we have a much better chance of qualifying for the finals, and once you're in the finals, well, anything can happen. I think under Eddie Thompson's guidance, the senior team has done tremendously well, and I think with the type of player and the quality of player that many of the programs are producing, and the experience that they gain playing for the national youth team, is all improving our chances of becoming much more of a problem to other countries when it comes to senior level.
Biggest thing you can ever do is play for your country. It's bigger than any money you can ever get. It's just something, you know, personal pride, and you know, lots of people watch you when you play for Australia, and it's really the main thing in your career to aim for. You know, I did some, I wouldn't say silly things, but I probably had a different attitude towards the game, and going overseas and playing professionally helps mature your game. And I mean, you know, it's easy to say now and look and say, oh, I should have played this and I should have played that. The thing is that now is now, and I'm playing now, so I've got to live for this moment now.
I think there's a couple of things about his game that have improved out of sight. I think he was always good running with the ball, but now he's good running with the ball almost every time he gets it. Whereas before he'd need, 6 or 7 or 8 minutes rest in between. Now you can give it to him, you know, every time we get possession, and he'll do something with it.
What's it like being a professional in Europe?
Great, there's nothing better. Unfortunately, the guys now we have to leave Australia to play in Europe, to play professionally. But while I think the game suffers in the short term here, I think in the long term, I think it can only do the country good, because the players are going to get better, the national team's going to get better.
Challenging right now is Robbie Slater. Lovely ball for Vidmar. The goal! Oh, this is amazing!
I think it should be everyone's dream. If you want to take football seriously, you know, you've got to play for your country. You know, in the past we've had players that have dropped out of the national squad. I know it's always a difficult situation. You know, you're earning a lot of money overseas, but you know, you're born and bred in your country, and that's the way I think. I was born here, so I've got something to repay for Australia.
Here comes Vidmar. Will he take Sweeney on? He does, easily. Vidmar might go all the way. Vidmar!
When I was playing at Adelaide City, you know, I was facing the ball and facing the play a lot more. So now, since I've been in Europe, I've been playing up front. So maybe that goal-scoring sense has been a big improvement in my game.
Both looking this way.
Yeah, we know each other's game. We know where the ball is going to be played. We know everything about each other, you know. So really, we don't have to communicate that much. You know, he knows where to go, where I'm going to kick the ball. So he found, you know, he was in the right spot at the right time. So you know, it was good. It was good for him to score.
He's looking for the runner, and it's a good run from Vidmar. Tony Vidmar inside.
Yeah, great. It's not often that you see brothers in the same national team, and it made it a little bit special that Tony gave me the last pass.
What's the brotherly love like in your family?
That's quite good. I don't see him as often anymore, so and he still wants to share with me in the room, but I said, nah, you know, got to go with someone else for a change. I spent 24 years in the same room with him, so I think that's enough. We share dreams and aspirations, and but once the football's on the side, we always go out more often than not and have a good time.
I guess when you're growing up and you're looking for a sport, the only thing that really attracts you is the TV, because kids watch TV all the time, and if you see soccer on the TV all the time, then that's the thing that captures your imagination. And I was no different. Soccer with the big stadiums and the big crowds and you know, the lights, and it really was entertainment at its best. And I guess while my mates love soccer, I love soccer. We'd go out there if we weren't asleep or at school studying, then we were playing soccer. You just grow up with soccer the whole time. You do nothing else.
Now Wade shot the flag.
Basically, I've learnt all my soccer in Australia, even though my bad Pommy accent doesn't suggest that. Because I came out here as an 11-year-old, it was in my blood. So when I came out here, I was just looking for the nearest soccer club who I could go out and have a kick with. And from there, it just developed. I made friends here, and you just carry on going up through the ranks, 15s, 16s, until you make it to the seniors, and hopefully eventually get selected for the national team.
Of the 7,000.
The Socceroos, well, that was quite a shock for me, because I considered that if you hadn't played for the Joeys or the youth team when I was growing up, then you probably weren't going to make it. Well, at 24, and I hadn't even played for my state, I was invited down to have a camp with Frank Arrock and the Socceroos, and I still don't know what he saw in me, but it was exactly what he wanted, and I went on with it. I was very fortunate. I have played the last 8 years with the Socceroos.
Now Burnell's up there, in it comes by Milosevic.
I still don't think I realise how I've done it, but maybe when I'm sitting there in my wheelchair at 65 years old, I might just think about it. Well, I guess every soccer player remembers the goals he scores, and it's no different for me. I scored what I considered an unbelievable goal. I still don't know how I did it against Sweden. With a header. We worked on free kicks with the national team a lot, and for most of the game against Sweden they just weren't happening, so I thought I'm going to do something a little bit different, and instead of going to the far post all the time, I made a run to the near post, and I was just inside the 18-yard box, and I don't know whether Ned Zelic miskicked it or whether he meant to put it on my head, but it just came in my direction. I knew where the goal was, and I just headed it in that direction. I mean, another day it might have gone over the top of the crossbar or past the post, but on this particular day it sailed right into the corner and hit the back of the stanchion, and then it was catch me if you can. I'm off down Swan Street. I'm nervous every time I go out to play for my country, but when I actually knew I was playing against Maradona, you just get the extra butterflies, and it doesn't make you feel good at all.
Wade and Maradona.
No, he doesn't talk to many people, but I thought, bugger this, I'll just, you know, just have a word with him, and I wished him a happy birthday because it was his birthday. And he sort of looked at me and thought, hang on a minute, we're in a World Cup qualifier and you're wishing me a happy birthday, are you serious?
What a historic day it is for Australia to have.
He gave me his shirt after the game. Now, there he is, the number 10, the famous number 10.
But they put on...
I am the proud owner with Robbie Slater, because Robbie Slater got the other shirt. He wears 2 shirts, one in the first half, one in the second, and I got one of them. And there's nobody going to take this off me. If I get in trouble with a mortgage, I could pay the house off with it. Hi, I'm Paul Wade. Now we're going to consider heading. A lot of people don't consider this skill very important. I do. Whether in attack or defence, it can win or lose you a game. And it has.
Post, and there's Trimboli again, and this time it's gone in directly. And Paul Trimboli. It's amazing how many headers this man can score.
I think most kids playing soccer today, when they see the ball going to hit them on the head so close to their eyes, they duck. You know, what we're trying to do is eliminate that fear by getting them to hold the ball and getting them having full control of where the ball's going to hit them on the head. Once they do that and they realise that they can do it, then you can start having somebody else throw the ball to them, and they can start heading it back. And obviously the further you go back, the harder it's going to hit you on the head. And you know, within a couple of years, they have no fear at all. They can't even remember why they were scared.
If you sort of wet your finger and put a little cross up here on your forehead, that's where you have to try and make contact with the ball when you head it. Okay? Now then, if you watch my knees now, see they're slightly bent, so as the ball comes near my head, I'm going to straighten my legs. And that's how I get a little bit of power. Try it as you are now, see? So, knees bent, it's a bend the knees and up. Bend the knees and up, and there. See? Okay, so I can get lots of power. Don't have to throw the ball very high. All right, have a little go on your own. There you go then, there's your ball. All right, I guess the difference between the young and the old is one, learning the technique, and the second one is when to use it and how to compete with people during the game to be able to head the ball. All right, come on in, Blacks, let's see what you can do. All right, okay. Oh, unlucky Simon, good effort. Okay, Joko, don't try and be too accurate with the crosses. All you got to make sure is that they've got a chance to attack the ball. So just whip them in somewhere about penalty spot. Yes, Simon. Yeah. Finish, Simon. See, if you've got a fair bit of pace on the ball, you don't have to try and help it. All you got to do is just redirect it. Go on, that's a macca. Right, okay, good effort. You can see Foxy's going to be struggling to ever get above the ball to head it down, so you've got to tell him. Otherwise, he's got the slightest touch on it, and he'll go past you as well.
Well, I guess there's basically 2 types of headers, a defensive header and an attacking header. What I try and encourage the kids to do is think about one simple thing. If you consider that there is the centre line of the ball, with a defensive header, what we're trying to get the kids to do is head the ball with their forehead underneath the centre line of the ball. That way the ball goes up and as far away from the goal as possible. Now with an attacking header, if you still consider that that's the centre line of the ball, we're trying to head the ball above the centre line, therefore the ball's going down. Now even if the ball comes a little bit off, skewer, of our forehead, it's still probably going to go down. If it does go up, it's probably going to go underneath the crossbar. But if you aim high and you mistime it, it's going to go higher. We've missed a chance. So now you've done all the hard training and you're looking for some rewards. I've said earlier how important heading the ball is. Just take a look at this.
With roughly 1 billion people, all corners of the world viewing this return of Diego Armando Maradona. But more importantly, Australia's turn to sit up and show the rest of the world how the football has progressed here. Van Blurk. That's not a bad looking cross. So close for Australia.
Even such a high pedigree as Argentina to play away from home, it's a different circumstances completely.
Here's Slater. Robbie Slater was tripped, and the referee allowed the advantage. He was coming to goal. He was taken out just there, and the shot in the end just not strong enough. In a 2-0 victory, here comes Maradona. Van Blurk there. Now Ivanovic, and still Maradona. Here comes a dangerous looking cross, and the goal! For Argentina! A tremendous goal! A moment of magic! Maradona's pinpoint cross. And the header was perfect. Slater inside for Zelic. He's looking for the runner, and it's a good run from Vidmar. Tony Vidmar inside! Australia back in the game! Emilio Vidmar the scorer! Brother to brother! The Adelaide connection has come good! What an opportune time to hit back! It appeared Australia had the backs to the wall, and it was Emilio Vidmar, the destroyer, the Vulcan ball-playing midfielder, has levelled it here. Well, joy for the fans at the Sydney Football Stadium. I said it was more like a home game, but after hearing the reaction to the goal, that's Australia back at 1-1.
Hi, I'm Eddie Thompson. I'm the Australian national soccer coach. A working week for me usually starts off at the weekend. We watch the game on the Saturday to have a look at the form, either our youth team, Olympic or national team players. Also during the week we organise our next training camp or our next tour, and also try and put together some good development players that we can introduce to our national teams. Well, as you can tell by the accent, I'm Scottish, and I played in Scotland for Harper Midlothian, the team in Edinburgh in the first division, for 7 years, and I played for 4 years for Aberdeen. Also represented Scotland, the under-23, and I played 1 season in San Antonio in America, and then I come and played 3 years for Sydney City in Australia. What I look for in a player is, first of all, his ability. We have a look to see if he's got good technique, good vision, and also is a good team player. It's no use being a good individual if he doesn't combine with the rest of the team. I think Australian soccer is going to get better and better the whole time. I think we've proved the last 4 years with all our teams we've done exceptionally well. But we've got the foundation here in Australia with the ITC programme, with the AIS programmes, also with our under 17, under 20, under 23 Olympic team and the national team. We've got a good stepping stone for all the young guys to make a good career out of soccer. Australia in the year 2000 should be challenging for medals. Certainly that in Barcelona, where we finished fourth, we should have won a bronze medal then. And I think with all the development going through and the players getting better and better in Australia, I think everybody in Australia can look forward to a medal in the year 2000. Well, I think any young man's ambition back in Scotland was to be involved in soccer, and I was no exception. I mean, all we did was play from morning till night. We played on the street, we played at soccer from... We woke up in the morning till late at night, and obviously I had my heroes back in Scotland as well. I used to be a big Hibs supporter, and I used to watch my heroes playing at the weekend and always wanted to be a soccer player. And when I got the chance, well, I dived with 2 feet, and well, it's been a really good, successful career for me. Well, I was, to be honest, when we drew Argentina in the World Cup, everybody they're past, they've won 2 World Cups and they've beaten finalists in Italy the last time. It was probably the toughest draw Australia's ever had, but we were looking forward to the game, and after the game when we got a draw, in some ways I was satisfied, in other ways I was very disappointed. Satisfaction, the way we played extremely well, we showed the world that we can compete at that level, and the disappointment in World Cup qualifiers, you must win your home games to stand a good chance of qualifying. So I was disappointed with the draw, but extremely happy the way we played. Well, everybody said I'm pretty tough, but I don't realise I'm tough. I get what I want out of training sessions and out of players, and if players are not prepared to put everything into training, or not prepared to do what I think is good for the team, certainly I'm tough with them, but I'm the first person they can lean on my shoulder. If they're going through bad times or they're having difficult times on or off the park, I'm the first person that will help them. If you're a 12-year-old youngster and you want to get in my team, first of all, there's no shortcuts in soccer. You must practice. For you, if you've got any weakness at all at the higher level, if you've got a bad left foot, or you're bad at heading the ball, or you're a bad passer, you must practice, you must overcome these difficulties to be successful. You can't just put on a switch at night. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of enjoyment, but if you can correct your mistakes and you make yourself a better player, and also what we'll look is for team spirit. There's no team complete without team spirit. You must be able to mix with the rest of your team, you must have ambition that you want to be the best, and you must be self-motivated.
Les Scheinflug is my name. In German it's Les Scheinflug, but being a long time in Australia they call me Scheinflug. So I'm the national assistant coach. I came to Australia in 1954. I played soccer in Australia at 17 years of age. At 19 I represented Australia for the first time. At 21 I was captain of Australia till 66. Then Johnny Warren took over from me. But I represented Australia really at all levels. That means New South Wales. I was captain of New South Wales, captain of Australia, captain of the first World Cup side in Cambodia where we played North Korea. And I also coached every team really, from New South Wales to the under 70s, 20s, been involved with the Olympic team, and I also been national coach. Soccer has changed a lot because in the early days we had a lot of talented players in this country. Australia was not in FIFA for quite a few years, and we had some international players coming from Austria, from England, from South America. And then after when we joined FIFA, we had to start producing our own young players. And as you have seen, from training 2 nights a week, now we are training 4 and 5 nights a week, and we are producing good young players. He has to be dedicated, number one. We always look at players' dedication. If he wants to work, he wants to train, he wants to practice, not that we give him a brand new soccer ball and he leaves it in the corner. He has to have good vision, natural ability. You can detect this driver as a coach if he has got natural ability, and you can work on that. And also he needs to have the desire to be a winner, and you will find it there when you practice with the players. And these are things which we have been concentrating on a lot with young players. And as you know, over the last 10 years we have produced quite a few players which went to Europe. The Ned Zelic, the Paul Ocon. I mean, you can name 80 players, the Mark Bosniches. These are players who went overseas, and they don't have to knock on the door of European clubs. The clubs are coming now and chasing their talent. As you've seen, Robbie Slater, I mean, he just was bought by Blackburn Rovers for a big fee. Where in the past, these boys had to knock on the door and beg, can I get a trial? And now the clubs are coming to the players here. We are now, I would say, in the top 5 at the under-20 levels. The last 2 World Cups we finished in the top 4. With the Olympic team we finished 4th, and with the senior team we just got knocked out by Argentina. So we are really going in producing young players much better than many other countries. I think these boys are determined to be successful in their future career as a full-time professional player. Unfortunately, they can't have it in Australia, and the only way they can be seen by the rest of the world is by making the national under-17 teams and the under-20s, and sometimes even the senior teams before they go overseas. So, I mean, they bring their own motivation along. We have a lot of discipline here from the first time they come into the national under-17 team, where we build a foundation with young players, exactly what it takes to be a full-time professional player. I mean, discipline on and off the park, dedication, the desire to win. These are the ingredients which we pass on to the players. And once they get older, they know what we are talking about, because we are very strict with those young boys here. We don't allow them to really do something else except sleep and think and about soccer.
And now Ron Smith talks about the AIS development path.
Well, the development process now for young players would really start off with Rubal. And it could be as early as under 6, under 7. That would then lead them into junior soccer, where they play 11-a-side, and that continues then through into the early teens. You would then look at playing in the youth competitions, and at that stage you would, as a young player, have the opportunity to go from club into district representative sides, into regional representative sides, into state representative sides, and even then into state institute programs, academies, and so on. They would have the opportunity to play in the under-17 national team, which competes every 2 years. That would then lead you into playing in the national youth leagues and into some senior competitions at state level. That would then take you into playing at the national youth team and into the under-20s, and that's where the Institute of Sport program plays a significant role. And at that stage, a number of the players will then be moving into playing first grade national league, and for the odd one or two, they may well even have opportunities to go and take up professional contracts overseas. Following on from there, once players have established themselves in the national league, they would then be looking at playing in the Olympic Games, which is an under-23 tournament. And at that stage, under-23, the really outstanding players may then have a chance to progress to play in the senior Socceroos and play in the World Cup qualifiers, and hopefully then into the World Cup. Several players like Ned Zelic played in the Youth World Cup very shortly after, made his debut in the Olympics, and at the same time then played for the senior Socceroos.
Signal from the lines, and referee waves play on. That's good to see. Richard Lorenz, let's play continue. Trimboli trying to get it through for Wade, and they close them down so quickly. There's always 2 or 3 acing the land players there. Perezi, Aban with a great knot on. Boban. Comes a dangerous looking ball. Tony Vidmar has put the ball into his own net. And what a tragedy for Australia. He just tried to play it away safely for the corner kick. And you really feel sorry for the man, because he's been called back into the Socceroos squad after missing the New Zealand game. Bournemouth with a great turn here. The cross, it looked like it was well covered, and Bosnich had no chance. this is a different look at that goal.
What a header from Papin across from Boban, but on Tony's right, on Tony's correct foot, his left foot. Would have been the other one. You could have had some reason for it, but nobody knows more than Tony. Look, hands in the head in the hands, I should say, and that's a disastrous start for Australia.
Well, is there any other worse feeling for a football player?
I'm sure there isn't.
Made it look really easy there, Donadoni. Boban and Blagojevic. Zvonimir Boban and Bosnich, and hooked away in the end by Jurakovic. A dangerous cross from Zvonimir Boban. But here now it's on for Australia perhaps. Vidmar involved. Lazarina's on. Vidmar's onside. That's a great counter for Tony Vidmar. He kept the run going. Boban. Asado Papan inside. Boban. That's a sweet shot. Good take at that near post by Bosnich. Now Vidmar's taken off. Tassori. Vidmar. Can he keep it in? He has. Murray! The chance really for Australia.
Well, basically it's through the Victorian ranks. I mean, I'm from Victoria originally, and playing with the state team, going up through the ranks there, like under 12s, under 13s, 14s and 15s. I mean, that was my main goal until about the under 13s when I heard about the Australian Institute of Sport and that Ron was offering scholarships after the under 15 nationals, so performed well then, and from there it all happened.
He's a bit older than us, like a year above us, but we all came through the nationals program, the talent identification tournaments.
With the Olympic team, it's under 23 age limit, so it's all them born after the 1st of January 1977, which I think 14 out of the 16 players here are eligible for.
That's sort of the long-term goal at the moment, and then after that maybe go over to Europe and try and earn a living out of soccer. The national team's improving, like you could see that from the games that we played against Argentina. Like we lost 1-0 in Sydney and we go over there and they beat us. We drew 1-1 in Sydney and we lost 1-0 over there.
Mine would probably be Milan Ivanovic.
I don't have any real favourites, I mean.
I really like Aurelio Vidmar.
Ned Zelic.
Overseas.
Class player.
My name's Joe Simonik and I played soccer since I was 8. I was interested in it because my dad brought me up on it. The earliest I can remember playing was probably when I was about 5. I just started, like every Saturday there was a soccer show and I just watched it and stuff like that. Yeah, I began to juggle and just kept practicing and just kept trying new things. I practiced about 2 hours a day. I got involved in the Australian Institute of Sport because Ron Smith offered me a scholarship. I just took it. To get spotted and get a scholarship, I just played normal, regular under junior soccer here in Canberra. And I was actually quite lucky because Ron's son was in our team. He was a goalkeeper, and he used to come to some of the games, and he just asked me for a scholarship after that. Eventually, I'd like to go overseas. I'm not sure when, but yeah, just play full-time soccer. Soccer's getting better in Australia, probably because the level is, like, more people are playing and the level's getting higher and higher every year. The 2000 Olympics here in Sydney is exactly the right age group for my age group, and I'd eventually like to play for the Olympic team and the Australian soccer team, the national team. Ned Zelic is a very, very good player. Mark Viduka, and probably overseas, Zvonimir Boban. The way they play, they're just very, very good. They always have an impact on a match.
Good covering work, he cut the angle, the body was spread. And it deflects to Zelic. Now the chance for Lamont. They've all missed it, and Viduka gets it at the second attempt. Lamont on. Zelic back for Lamont. Here's Lamont, an excellent save by Viduka. It's a great header, crossbar. Fantastic effort from Mark Viduka.
Put his body on, he's going to swing it! And it needed the best of the talents of the Socceroo goalkeeper.
I'm Paul Jones and I'm the Institute goalkeeping coach. Basically what it means is helping Ron Smith, the coach here, select players that come into the Institute and then develop them from there. They're there in two things: on a defensive organisation, making sure that the side is organised, that players are doing as they're told, providing information. Then when shots hit, obviously saving them, and then they come into an area which they've forgotten about quite a bit is in attacking sense. People just think we're there to stop shots, but we actually start a lot of attacks. What we notice you're doing is you're getting that big step in there, you're getting a big step in there like that, okay, and your centre of gravity's over here. You really want to get it over here. So as you've got to take a step, of course, there, but bring this back leg with you. Okay, at the moment, it's a bit of a passenger. It's there, and then, okay, it's time to take off now. I'll bring it with me. Okay, when you go, you've got to, as this leg goes, this has to come with you, so it's not a passenger. That's what you're using to show yourself away. So it is bang, and that's position in there, and all my weight is over this leg here, but this leg's still there, it's not a passenger, and I'm ready to bang, power through and take off. Same thing again, so you're still getting that step in there, you just bring the other foot away with you. That's all right, yep. Now, another reason why we've gone forward here, okay, is look at our body position here, okay? We've actually picked the spot over there, we've attacked the ball, okay, we've got our leg in a good position to push off and take it. Now the benefit of being square is that if we drop a shot, where's it going to go? It's going back into play, isn't it? Yeah. And from there, you get up and make a second save, okay? That's one benefit. The second benefit is that we're cutting angles down, okay? So rather than going backwards and opening angles up, we're going forward and cutting angles down. It gives ourselves second chances. I've got a favourite saying, good technique means good luck, okay? If you've got a good enough technique, you will create your own luck. Once again, you drop a shot, bang, you've made a mistake, you get up with a good technique, you have a chance of making a second save. Okay, if you make a mistake doing this way, bad luck, we're 1-0 down, could cost us a game, could cost us a spot in the World Cup. At the moment, we've got Dylan Walker and Barney Smith and Danny Milosevic. So they're the three keepers coming through here at the moment. They're all very talented, they've all got very different things about them. The one thing I would say about them all, they've got plenty of courage, they've got great hands, they're pretty quick learners.
Oh, when I was young, in juniors I played on the field, and when I came up into started to play on the big field, we didn't have a goalie in the team, and someone said, who wants to go goalie? And I just said, yeah, I'll go goalie. And in the end I stayed there for the whole season, and I've stayed there ever since. Just go out and enjoy yourself, dive around, shout at some defenders if you want.
Work hard.
Yeah, work hard, mainly.
There's a lot of work to be done because the goalkeeping is a very technical position, and coaches always pick on someone's technique. But for young kids, I mean, it's good fun to dive around and try and start the ball.
Mainly don't be scared.
That's right.
Because there's lots of times you get scared diving at feet and that. You just go out there, do your job, and walk off the park a happy man.
I've been having a really good time at Aston Villa. I'm really enjoying myself. We've got Ron Atkinson there. He's installed, great confidence and enjoyment throughout the club, and I'm just feeling, I got my chest stuck out, feeling, bigger than life at the moment. And being here with the boys and all that, it was a good time to show off and that. And plus show Eddie Thompson that I'm really interested in, fighting my way, hopefully to the top, of, to be Australia's best goalkeeper one day. Graham Arnold and Robbie Slater, when I was 15 years of age and I was training with Ron Corrie up at Sydney, Croatia, we used to train up with them, so I knew them from back then, and it's just great seeing them again, and they're great characters, all of them. And David Mitchell and Frank Farina got untold experience, and it's just great being around them type of players. It's sort of like, it's like people in England saying, oh, how is it playing around Brian Robson? They're the sort of Brian Robsons and the, Gary Linekers of Australian soccer, so that's great for us,
My name's Tom Sermani. I'm the Australian Women's Senior National Coach. Women's soccer changed dramatically last September when it became an Olympic sport. That had a great effect on the sport in Australia, because after that we received funding from the Australian Olympic Committee and the Australian Sports Commission, and that's allowed a full-time coach to be put in place and allowed a heavy national team schedule to get us prepared for the World Cups and for the Olympics. Louise is one of our the breed of young up-and-coming players that we're beginning to produce in our sport. She, at the age of 18, is already heavily involved in the national squad, and she's been on tour with the national squad recently, is likely to be involved in the World Cup and the World Cup qualifiers. She's a very talented player, defensively very sound, technically very good, and very dedicated to the sport.
I'm Louise McMurtry, I'm 18 and currently in the senior national team. I started playing soccer in 1989 when I was 12. Because I had a rivalry with my brother, he used to play soccer for Brisbane South, his rep team, and I used to follow him around everywhere, and I was doing ballet and it didn't work out. And I just had this big competition with him, and that's where it all began.
It's been a very busy year. Gone around and did a lot with football and done a lot of travelling as well. And I'd see it as a very successful year. See, in the past, I've really thought about the future a lot and my football future, but you know, one day I just thought I'd more or less take things as they came. I think that's the best approach to take. So I didn't really think too far ahead into the future. I was concentrating on what I was doing, and you know, it's worked out.
My name's Andrew Harper and I play for the Marconi side in the National Soccer League. There's an opportunity for everybody to play soccer and to enjoy it, and that's actually what happened to me. Mucking around in the local parks, somebody came past and saw that this person's enjoying soccer, so they scooped me up and sent me over to the local club, and that was when I was 4, a number of years ago. I won't say exactly how many. And my vivid recollection is running around like bees after a honeypot. 22 boys who were less than 4 foot tall, and the ball was at least half our size. Like many Australian teenagers, I was tempted away from soccer by other sports and other lifestyles and other cultures. And I'm really happy that in the long run I came back to soccer and in fact never left it. There are other things that I can recall. Playing FA Cup finals by myself in the lounge room with a little Nerf ball, with the little soft balls that are squeezy, 3 or 4 centimetres in diameter. And I used to set up the furniture to be opponents or defensive walls or whatever, and I used to have the coffee table as my goal, and I used to bend the Nerf ball around the coffee table and into the goal and run off to the crowd and salute the winning goal in the FA Cup final. A couple of years ago, whilst at St George, I got signed by the Marconi Club, which is where I'm currently playing, and have been very fortunate to win a national title, and that's an exciting experience, and I'd thoroughly recommend that to anybody who gets the chance. It's an exciting time, and it's really, really good to see all your labour come to bear fruit at some point in your career. After playing the game for a number of years, you do have to keep asking yourself, why is it you keep pushing yourself at the highest level or the highest level you can go? And there are a number of reasons, and they all become important, but primarily you have to enjoy the game, and that's solely why I keep playing. If I wasn't enjoying the competition and the striving to win, the striving to improve myself, then I couldn't really see myself playing. So it's most important for everybody that your primary focus is enjoyment, because the basis of the game is that it's just that, it's a game, and if it ceases to be a game, you can't enjoy it, and then you don't produce.
And well taken. Sweet penalty.
In taking a penalty kick, there are a few things that you should try and remember. First and most important is that you've got the advantage. The person taking the kick has got the advantage. And that's why I suppose all the pressure is on the taker. Nobody really expects the goalkeeper to save. And if the goalkeeper does save, then he's a hero. And if the person misses the kick, then they're the villain. So the pressure is certainly on you. Well, what sort of things can you do to alleviate that pressure? Well, there's a couple of easy things to say, like relax and stuff like that, but they're probably not as useful as a few technical things. The first thing you must do is pick where you're going to kick the ball. Make sure you've got it in your mind, before you strike the ball, which side or whereabouts in the goal you're going to hit the ball. That's the most important thing. The most often cause of people mishitting a penalty is because during their run-up, presumably they changed their mind. And they have picked to go left, but during the run-up they think, I'll hit it right. And it hasn't worked for them. So my advice here would be to decide on which part of the goal you're going to hit the ball and don't waver from that decision.
Andrew Harper, he turned 26 this week. This is the way to celebrate. 1-0 Marconi.
The second important thing to remember is that whilst you've got the advantage in taking the penalties, the goalkeeper's at a certain disadvantage. And most goalkeepers will say that the way they try and save penalties is to guess which way the penalty taker is going to hit the ball. Even if the goalkeeper should decide to go the correct way, if you hit your penalty well enough, they still shouldn't be able to save it.
There can be an element of luck about penalties, but in the main, we always recommend to players that they just think about what they are going to do right now. And if they practice taking penalties like anything else, they have a process to follow. And that usually involves looking at maybe a part of the goal that they want to knock the ball into, maybe not make eye contact with the goalkeeper, for example, to have it clear in their mind exactly where they're going to play the ball and to actually go through and just knock it where they intend it to go.
Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bingley with a header. Maloney! Deflection! There's now the City. Could have been the goal. He's the man. Excellent save by Viduka. It's a great header. Crossbar.
Fantastic effort from Viduka.